New Year to you and welcome to 2024. 2024 is going to be a lit year and there are tons and tons of massive energy in the room. We also have a very, 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 very special person who I'm not going to unveil right now. Right, but here you know that we delve into entrepreneurship development. We talk about policy framework and we talk about how to move the industry and the economy forward. In the world of entrepreneurship, the people who have always made the difference are those who thought differently. So I'm going to hand over to my co-host who is itching at the seams to talk. Take it away.
Very warm welcome to you today. Thank you for joining us today. It's always an amazing session to be here exploring deep truths and deep insights on what's happening in the economic scene, what people are doing, preferring local, global, national, and intercontinental solutions across the broad spectrum of engagement. We've seen lots of entrepreneurs in the room, and then we have a great host who will be talking to us about passion to profit. It is one thing to have passion, but it is one thing to take it from passion to profit. Some idea, like I always say to people, the art of doing business is different from business. I mean, if you're doing music, as it were, there is the art of the music and there's also the business of music.
Absolutely.
So you can do that for a long time and you can do that for 80 years and you don't get anything. But this person has done it for over 2 decades and she's right here with us. The very exceptional, quintessential Iniedo. Okay, so we delve right back to you. Mm-hmm. A story, something to share, some inspiring moments that sparked, that ignition that took you to the big stage. We all want that, It's like an amazing thing. We all have this thing we have. We want to do this, We have this gift. But how do we take it from gift to skill? And then how do we upgrade now, because there's something we really need to know from you that has helped you do this for over 2 decades. Sometimes we admire people, but we don't know the attitude, the people give in and the work hours the people give in and the number of times they have to do what they do to be able to evolve into being an enigma like you are. So can you give us that moment in history?
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Oh, well, like the slogan rightly says, that from passion to profit. I think everybody has a passion for something. I think each and every one of us has gotten something they're passionate about, be it talent, crafts, what have you, academic, whatever it is, technology, I always believe that when you identify what your passion is or where your passion lies, and initially it might look like it might not be something that can be monetized or that can easily yield return on investment or, can give you the numbers, you know what I mean? But as long as it's a passion, that means it's God-given. It's something that you've discovered that is a part of you. That means that all you need to do is just to keep polishing on those passions or just sort of find a way to redefine that passion, to bring it up to date, to do some kind of self-investment, some kind of self-awareness of where that passion can lead you. Who is there a demographic of people that this passion can actually feed, can actually impact?
Yeah.
How do you get across to these people? How can you polish up your passion to a point that it becomes something that people can consume? That way you begin to see, some kind of payback or your passion begins to yield. So I like to talk about self-investment.
Oh, really? That's amazing.
Yeah, like, developing
Yourself.
the passion. So people say, okay, there's so many people who are passionate about things, who've got talent, but it's not everybody who's as successful. And I like to say that, well, it's one thing to identify your passion, it's another thing to identify where do you want to go with it, what do you want to do with it. So when if it's something that you find out that can actually become a source of living for you, all you need to now do is to just try to do some kind of research on how far you can take the passion. How can you polish it? How can you be a better person? How can that passion be how can you build it into something that is generally acceptable, you know? And then with passion, you know, it's not just passion. You have to look at the economic value as well. You have to look at your environment, your society, what is obtainable at the time. Is this the right time for this passion to for you to put out this passion?
Yeah.
Is there a market for this kind of passion? And you know, eventually when you're able to identify all that, then I just feel like the best thing to do is to start to self improve,
Invest.
invest,
Absolutely.
invest in that passion, try to do some kind of research, what can you do to just to, butter yourself up and polish it and make it presentable and make it work.
So right into that conversation, I heard Beyonce talk about the fact that she had to be, for her, she wanted the big stage, and then she wanted to do like a Tina Turner, put everybody together in one piece, and then take a little bit of here, there, to become the Beyonce she is today. So what is that thing you talk about self-investment? So what is that thing you needed to do? How did you see where you wanted to go? And all of that, how did you put all of that together to become who you are today? Because you have a crossover brand, and not everyone has that.
First of all, I found myself role models. I found myself role models, like who did I want to mirror? Who were the people who inspired me to do what I wanted to do?
Right.
I went into their stories. How did they go through the hurdles that they went through? Because there are literally hurdles in every industry, irrespective of what country or what continent. When I found those people and I began to mirror them just to see, okay, the commitment levels, the
hours.
the hours, the commitment is so important, because it's like you can sing, you can you can sing in church. It's not good enough to make
It's
a
not good
record
enough.
for the world to listen. You know what I mean? So what do you need to do? You need to take classes. I would take classes where I needed to. I would literally just download like their films and just keep watching. I'm watching their interviews. I'm trying to find out how are they able to still be themselves and still be able to diversify most times into like different other things,
Characters
and
and all
still
of
come
that,
back
facial
to
expressions.
who they are.
Yep.
So it's important to have a successful role model, somebody who you feel like you can relate to the person's story, and then just not like you're going to do copy and paste.
Right.
In my
Gotta be
case,
authentic.
but it was kind of inspiring, and it was like a lesson for me. It was like I was learning from them.
All right, absolutely. So, people out there who want to use you as a role model, or even for businesses, right, who are seeking to differentiate themselves in the market. Everybody can have a similar talent or similar level of skill, but not everybody can differentiate themselves. So, if you're speaking to new entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, people like you, etc., how were you able to differentiate yourself from the pack? You know that you have a talent, you know that you have a skill, but of course there are so many other actresses or brand influencers out there who are of a similar level, right? So how were you able to become exceptional to the point where you stood out from the pack?
I would like to say, staying true to who you are, authenticity, like you talked about. Because there will always be different flavors and variances to these things. But when you have your own unique form, and when you stick to who you really are, like when I talk about looking at these other people who are already made, it's just to draw inspiration. It's not to come and act the way that they act. I just draw inspiration. I'm like, would this person react like this?
Quite an abstract.
Yes, because there's something unique in everybody. Each and every one of us have. Yes.
Energy.
So you see all that energy. You can even learn, especially let's take acting for instance. When you talk about how people do intonations in how you deliver your lines, you can find somebody who's very good with intonation that you admire, and then it's okay to kind of like try to, not like you're going to sound like the person, but you want to be able to see, okay, at what point, how does she take her breaks? How does her emotions play? When does it go up? When does she need to shout? But then we are Africans. So yes, being original, like you said, original, and, find your own identity, find your own, what makes you tick, and be consistent. It's a lot of consistency, being open to being teachable as well, because most people just feel like, okay, I have this talent. I mean, however I want to do.
I'm late.
I'm late.
That's it.
It's never too late to learn. I feel like everybody must learn something every day.
Right.
I'm the kind of person I am. I'm very open to new ideas. I'm always quick to ask, how are you doing it? How was it? How is it done? How can you think I
How
can
you
do this
doing
better?
it?
You know. It's also self improvement, and then investing in yourself. Like I said initially, it's so important, because it's like technology, for instance. It keeps upgrading.
Evolving.
It keeps evolving. So you
Absolutely.
can't be stuck in one place. You can have a bright idea, and you think, okay, this thing, if I do it like this, okay, how can I make it have a longer lifespan? How can I give it give it more flavor? What do people like? Should I make it spicier? Or everybody else is doing like this, okay, let me try something. Not being afraid to try new things, not being afraid to try new territories, and just exploring, just allowing yourself to sometimes even fail. I feel like
Right.
it's always okay to fail, because failure is failure is a part of the things that leads to success.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you have to fail in order to succeed, because you have to see what did you not do right and how can you do it better.
Great job. I mean, it's amazing listening to you because it gives us different perspective of what we see from on the screen. So I'd like to have this perspective from you two. The milestones. Can you just, in like a swing, give us the milestones, and then delve into soft skills? Because sometimes people want to be Iniedo, for an example, or they want to be whoever, but it really speaks to the soft skill, that the attitude that you have towards life, and your philosophy about things that you do, the energy you give and how you do it, so someone out there could actually learn and become you, because doing that thing for 2 decades is not a joke. It's not really a joke.
Well, literally, it takes us back to passion. I've always had passion for acting.
Passion.
I've always loved acting. I did theatre arts in University of Uyo. So that was where I could tell that I had something here.
Great.
So when I went into to study theatre arts, I realized that I really loved the stage. And then when I had the opportunity to be in movies, yes, I really loved the stage. I loved to be watched. I loved
The big stage.
Yeah. So when I got the opportunity to be in films, it was like, I just knew that this was it. I just knew that this is what I wanted to do. Thankfully, the opportunities kept on coming. And so I had this big opportunity to do also part, which I did. So for me, I was a young girl, very, very, very young. I was still a teenager at the time.
Oh.
Yeah. So being thrown into a set where all the legends, the living legends were there. The biggest names that you could think of were there. I had never seen these people. I never thought that I would be in the same environment with them. I mean, I didn't even just start with like just younger or smaller stars. It was like the biggest stars at the time. And so, first of all, it was very intimidating.
Yeah, because that would have been quite a challenge.
It was very intimidating. It was very scary. I was scared because that was the first major lead character that I had. And it wasn't a role that I'd ever played. So I was really scared that I would fail.
Wow.
Fear of failure. So the director had told me that, oh, look, this character is bigger than you. He said it to my face, and this character is bigger than you.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're going to do it, but I don't think you can do it. I said, well. So that to me was like a challenge. That to me was like a challenge. So I took the script, I went through it. I'm like, God, look, this is it though. But I know what I want, and I tried to see how I can get it without being desperate. So that way I'm not having to compromise on things. So, right. And then I just got on the set. First of all, I just like now the passion and the energy and the commitment to self-investment, as opposed to me being where everybody else was. All the big names were chilling, they had drinks, they had ACs on. So I went into that. I'd never been to. I go to the farm with my grandmom and all of that, but like being in a farm settlement where people actually live, on the farm. So. First of all, it was like, so people really live here, and I'm supposed to be one of the people living. In fact, I'm the queen of the best people living here. So I went into the community just trying to see, I literally just left myself and just assumed that this is where I was from. I was one of these people.
Yeah.
So I walked into the farmlands, like I walked around the house, like I just went, I sort of veered off where they were. and sort of blended with the locals there. And, I started to really feel like I was a part of them. So when the time for the characterization came, it was almost unconsciously, it just came because I already felt like that was my life. So at that time, everybody was like, oh wow, they didn't think, people started saying, oh, I didn't think you could do it. Apparently there were arguments going on that this girl is too young, she's too new, why would she be given this kind of role? But then as we started, everybody just fell in love with it, and then that was the story of that film. Then moving forward, the success started coming. The roles came. I would do one after the other, defining what was happening. I was like,
you were blown away, like you were everywhere.
I was everywhere.
How did you get that? How did that hit you?
Girl, I was too busy doing the work.
Most
times I wouldn't even realize how big this thing has become, because I'm in the East working like back to back to back. So when I come out to town and I see people's reaction, I'm like, oh wait, what? Okay.
That's funny. That's funny.
I'm like, okay, this is happening, and then the fees just kept rising.
So that leads me to another thing, because I was listening very intently to what you were saying, and there were so many gems, pun intended, to take away from their work ethic, passion, talent, and all of that. But I have another question, right? Because it's easy for you to, when you've achieved a level of success, to become complacent, right? Because you get to think, okay, I'm all that, nobody can touch me, y'all stay away, all that. So how do you know that you're on top of things, but avoid the complacency effect? Because that is something that very easily pulls down people.
And to be honest, I never really get satisfied. Like, I'm never really of the opinion that I've gotten to where I've gotten, because as far as I'm concerned, I think I still have so much to accomplish. I still have so much to cover. Like, there's still so much I need to, like, I don't see myself as like I am at where I am supposed to be. For some reason, I just can't see myself like that. So there's that hunger to keep growing. There's that hunger to keep evolving. I'm consistently looking for the next thing to do to take me to the next level. I get bored of being in a particular place for too long. I just feel like I need to grow. We have age, you have good health, and you have grace. So there's no reason why I should be stuck or I should be okay with being in a certain position. Because the truth is, we can be bigger than where we are. There's so many crossover stars who cross over to become like real, and then veer into business, and this entrepreneurial attitude is something that I have always wanted to do.
So it's always been there, the entrepreneurship.
Oh yeah.
Just before you go there, you have the global stage. It's something a lot of people want. A whole lot of people want it. What has been your experience in African countries? Of course, you moved from Nigeria and the Nigerian scape, and then you start getting invitations from the African countries, for an example, and then you start getting the energies from there too, and then the global scene. What is that milestone journey? Because we still need to know that part, just right before we get into the entrepreneurship aspect.
I think what it is constant hunger for evolution, to evolve.
Right.
And not being complacent, like you said, and small-minded. So you see, when you have dominated this where you are, and you feel like you have made a mark,
you're done.
It begins to feel like there's nothing else to do.
Nothing else to do.
Thankfully, the industry started to
evolve. Absolutely.
Because
I'm getting there. You've gotten from the artistry to the influencing game. You've gotten through that framework. How did you do it?
How did I not do it? I just do my work. So
you have a big mind.
Yeah, I take risks. I do what I don't like to be put in a box. I don't like to, like I said, I get bored really quick. Like
you like exploring.
Yeah, I like to explore. I like to see, okay, so what's new? What's next?
What's next?
What's next? Why can't we do this if other people are doing it? Why can't we do this if other people can do it? But then you would have the constraints of perhaps marketing, distribution rather. Africa is such a rich continent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Diverse cultures. Everything is just so rich, and the world it's not explored yet. It's not been explored. It's untapped. It's like hidden gold somewhere. We've been fed with all this sci-fi and all this larger than life,
content.
Meanwhile, we have our indigenous original stories and a whole lifestyle to show the world. And you can see with what is happening today now, everybody, the entire world is feeding off African content.
If you've been listening carefully, right, you would have heard so many things that go into what the ideal entrepreneur needs to have in his arsenal. You need to have vision, you need to have courage, you need to think big, you need to be able to explore new markets, you need courage and all of that. Now, there are very many reasons why people start businesses, right, especially in this part of the world where we tend to focus on basic needs as compared to the Western Hemisphere, where people are developing apps to read minds and all of that. We're thinking of how to feed ourselves, how to clothe ourselves, how to, make ourselves comfortable. So people tend to focus on lifestyle rather than legacy, right? Which is where the big players actually play. The philosophy space is different. So moving from that, as you were able to dominate your immediate space in terms of industry, you now flowed into the legacy space, by virtue of your foundation. And I'm thinking to myself, here's somebody who has done so much, achieved so much in a relatively short period of time, as compared to her contemporaries, yet is focusing on humanitarian efforts, which is not a lot of thinking, or is not the way a lot of people tend to think. So what caused that switch?
And also, before you get, because you want to look that conversation to your part of the business, we see you doing Secrets of April, we see you doing lots around that. What is that all about? And how do you, because you know how to solve problems, you know how to make money, because you have to teach us as a skill. That's what it is. Oh, yes. People can't turn we get back to the same conversation. People can't turn their passion to profit.
Right.
So it's a big issue. So that's why lots of people, you can have all the things you have, masters, all forms of stuff, and then nothing to show. So let's get there.
It's a very, I find it really, I used to see that when people say to me, if you were not acting, what would you do? I would always say that I would be a business person, because when you look around you, there's so much that's why I really relates with all of these sort of things, innovations and ideas, because this is real creativity. This is real, just using the substance around you to looking what are the needs of the people, what is available to you, what can you do to solve the needs of the people. And so yes, for me, I've had, like, it goes back to when you talk about passion. What are you passionate about? Not what is the trend. It has to be what is the passion for me, because I say when the passion is right. So it's what is your passion, not what is the trend. If you follow the trend, if you follow trends, you're most like, because trends come and go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, trends come and go, but when you create real problem solving situations that can stand the test of time, then you're beginning to create legacy, like you said. So when you talked about Beauty Secrets of April, I've, other than the entrepreneurial angle that I've always wanted to have my own thing, because I love comfort. Yeah, I know when you look around you, we kind of tend to ignore or overlook.
Maybe because of religiosity.
I think it's that attitude of maybe people just expecting things to go a certain way. Yeah, this is how it should be. Okay, I will have my master's degree. I should get a job. Yeah. I should do for me, I think that it's a bit, it makes the mind lazy. If you think that way, education is perfect. Education, you need education to enhance your knowledge and all of these things, to do your research and everything. So you can't overemphasize the importance of education. But most importantly is the mind, is a skill mind, the mindset of
the spirit of enterprise.
Spirit of enterprise.
Absolutely.
Now you have all these lines. I really don't.
That's good.
So, like when I went into skincare, for instance, I've always loved. I've been into skincare from when I became aware of myself. I always like people's skin who look a certain way, clear skin. So it's always been a thing for me. And then I realized that I've always loved my skin tone, and I've seen so many girls that I admire with my similar skin tone, and they still look really clean. And so I said, okay, eventually. So I started to think along that line. I realized that there was a huge market for that for that particular situation. So I began to think of solutions to that problem. That's the journey of how I got into Beauty Secret of April skincare line. Right. To provide a rich enough products for people of any skin tone. It's always what can I do?
What can I do?
What can I do to also not just solving problems, but also return on investment? Because we live in a country today that you must have multiple sources of income. It's not. I don't. I mean, when I see people just feel very chilled by just going to work and coming back, and then I'm like, okay, I think that's cool, but
I can't deal.
No, that's what you like. That's cool. But I think that there's a lot more than you can do. Everybody around me knows. I always say that if you think deeper, if you just look deeper, there's a lot more.
There's
a lot more you can do.
Entrepreneurship is, an organized search for change. You just decide, I don't like the way this thing is packaged. I want to package it my way. Differently. And, you pick it up and then you do it. It's we have lots of problems around power in Nigeria, for an example. Someone out there could take it up and become the solution, whether solar, whether renewable energy, you can pick it up. We have issues around real estate. You can also decide to make bring some form of solution, some rate solution, some different way of doing it, because of course real estate has changed in Nigeria, also evolving from where you have you don't need to be the owner of the land. You can just decide to be the developer, for an example. You don't need to be the developer. You can just be the buying and selling person. Like you just want to buy and sell. And you don't even need to do all of that. And sometimes we advise people, you might not necessarily get into real buildings for real people. For people to do rentals, you can decide office buildings or markets, because that helps.
Or even renting already
apartments, like shortlets.
Publishing it and shortletting it.
Exactly. So real estate has to move from where we are to the next level also. So I'm sure someone out there would hear from, she said, if you think a little deeper, there's a better way of doing it. Right into creative industry, the same thing. A lot has changed. Technology has changed the way we behave, the way we think, the way we do business in Nigeria, across the globe. So it is what it is. I'm sure listening to her story, you take your passion to profits. Right into GEMS Foundation, just before we get into the business of the day. GEMS Foundation, why the women development?
Like the saying goes, if you build a woman, you build a family. If you empower a woman, you empower a family. Absolutely. Or you empower the world or a nation or whatever, because we are naturally wired to be mothers, to be productive, to be to make profits. We are naturally wired to harness things, organize. So I feel like, and then we live for me, okay, you're asking about what inspired me into GEMS. So I sat back and I see a lot of stories of even growing up. I see the struggles of women. So I know that if you put something in a woman's hand, no matter how small,
that's amazing,
she can grow it into something big that can feed like a whole community at some point. As opposed to the men they do what they do, don't get me wrong, I'm just thank you, because the world turns. Like, this is not how it was when we were growing up as kids. You've seen how things just change. So if you don't have, it's so important for everybody to have that entrepreneurial attitude and way of thinking, because so anywhere you find yourself, you can't be stranded. Because you look around, there's always something you can do.
Absolutely.
I'm always so proud of whatever it is that I find to do. I'm not that those kind of people that, it's so small. Because these days, you tell somebody, why don't you do this? After I don't go with master's degree, I can't say, they say this. I'm like, you're like, what's up? What's going on? Well, everybody will do what they want to do. But that's just my theory. So I just knew that we just needed to have an empowerment to be able to be better, to be able to take care of our environment. If you don't have the power, if you don't have money, is power.
Absolutely.
If you don't have money, you're very powerless. Anybody can kick you around.
Absolutely.
Anybody can do anything. You can take all the bull in the world, and you cannot. You
Yes.
can literally not have a say of your own just
Absolutely.
because you don't have money. So money, they say money is not everything. Money is everything. Money is everything because money stops bullshit. That's the truth. Because you see, when we talk about women.
Economic empowerment,
domestic violence.
Domestic
Let's
violence,
even take it back to our homes, and you see some people go through literally dying in certain places. Not like they want to really die there, but the fear of how will I survive. And then you also talk about when they say, "Oh, the women, this one is doing this, is the prostitute, they're doing all of those things." Is because women just need to stand on their own feet. Once you do that, you take back power. There's nothing anybody can tell you.
Absolutely.
There's nothing.
Great.
You give respect, you give honor, but you cannot be taken for granted. You're not anybody's punching bag. You're not anybody. The society cannot ride on you or tell you what to do. You begin to dictate the pace of how you want your life to be.
Great. For you, this is a giving back moment.
Yeah.
Because this is a lot. You're giving $1 million to for grants, and then you're doing equipment, on this particular occasion. It's an amazing journey for you. It's really very, because in a moment like this in the Nigerian economy, it's just like you said, a little thing. Whoever does a little thing for you really does it from the heart.
Yeah.
You're taking from somewhere to do that. And I'm sure that this seed is going to be able to proliferate and also help many more women out there be economically powerful. Right back to you.
All right, thank you. So my perspective is, having understood the importance, the criticality, not just the importance of empowering our women economically, right? Because we get to understand that Africa, we have over 1.4 billion people, half of which are women, right? So by the time you empower these people, women, deliberately and intentionally, my bad, right? We're going to see a massive upswing in our economic fortunes. So the question now is how to go about it in a strategic manner, because it's one thing to have the vision or the idea, it's quite another to execute it and ensure that it continues on that trajectory that you determine for it. So for the women out there who are wondering, how can I be part of this initiative? How can I connect with James Africa? Is there a process? Do I have to fill a form? Do I have to stand on my head, fly over the moon, or whatever? How do I go about? Because we talk about education, but I think we need to be able to understand the difference between certification and education. Certification is something different entirely. Education is deliberately investing yourself with the knowledge that you need to flow in this world.
Not just looking for certificates.
Exactly.
Without knowing
it, yeah.
So it boils down to what you do with your data, for instance. Some people will take that data and watch TikTok or whatever. Some people will take that same data and watch how to produce something.
Yeah.
So how do you, get the women, first of all, to be part of this program, and let's continue to inculcate these necessary attitudes.
It's not I don't think you don't need to do much. We just need to, I think we call out for people sometimes who want to do certain trainings, because we do the tech trainings, the SMEs and MSMEs. We always have call outs for the creative industry. We always have call out for people.
We actually have one here. She's actually a content creator.
Yes, so back to what to do with data, which brings us to technology, social media, vis-a-vis how it affects the economy and what productivity, so to say. I think that this is a cause on its own, and perhaps it should be introduced at this point in schools.
And
because there's a lot of concern about what this generation is doing with data, with time.
That's
because
one.
I say it to people, I say it to my workers, I say it to my people, I said, look, you can't be on TikTok every time just watching other people making money. Other people are making money and you're wasting your data and just watching. What are you doing? But people can use this same internet to learn a skill. You don't even have to go to school to learn a skill. You don't even have to go to school to be useful to yourself, to be able to create your own content. Instead of you're learning a skill or you're learning craft or you're learning something, all of these things, the internet has made it possible for you to do it in the confines of your home.
Great.
So it now depends on what you're channeling your energy into. You can either be productive or counterproductive to yourself. So like I talked about all of these things here, now Google would help you find out like what I didn't even know that
plantain
Mushrooms.
stem or
Plantain
mushrooms.
stem.
Yeah, could be used.
Could have that level of significant
Impact,
usefulness
health
or whatever,
impact,
or health impact.
Yeah.
And the mushrooms as well, like all the various things it does. It's amazing.
It's amazing,
I mean,
yeah.
look at this. This is, especially people in diaspora. You know what they can do
Yeah,
with this.
yeah.
You know, just being able to have a preserved, and you still can get it.
And then the
so when
ready-made
you-
stew,
Yeah, and the
all of
ready-made
that.
stew and all of that. So the internet gives room for all of this explorations and where you can learn, and even the schools where you can get short courses and still get certifications and
Online.
then still be able online and still be able to do something for yourself. Internet has provisions for everything. It depends on what you want to do with it. Do you want to be laughing, be entertained, or do you want to use it
to make money? Yeah, so you make a choice.
It's up to
Thank you very much. It's a wrap for this session. Very amazing session with Ini Edo. Great job. Thank you very much for being with us today. We've learned a whole lot. I'm sure you're going to have to take some time out to look up.